This is a city of Gudu where vibrant trade on palm oil and corn oil, as well as other palm produce, took place and were evacuated to the seaports in Abonima and Port Harcourt in the pre-colonial days. Chief Samson Perry Okonny and his wife Madame Eyan of blessed memory gave birth to Dr. Monday Perry Okonny here. Chief Samson Perry Okonny was a school supervisor in the defunct eastern region of Nigeria and a notable native court jurist. It was said that disputants left his palace shaking horns. What Abua people described as Opere Okonny handshake due to the wise and bitter's dexterity in alternative conflict resolution. Telling a story about a great statesman, educationist, patriot, and Panijo Niger Delta activists such as the late Monday Perry Okonny is to be in the dilemma of the 10 blind men in Odana, an allegory of human perspective that emanated in India in 500 BC. With only their tactile senses, each of the blind men was insistent on claiming absolute truth about what the enormous beast looked like, based on the limited part that he touched or felt. Well, we can only rely on the accounts of Dr. Monday Perry Okonny's associates, mentees, and acquaintances to have an idea about the man. His maternal aunt, Madame Aku Uku of Okana said Dr. Monday Perry Okonny had a pleasing and electrifying presence and that he had an uncommon way of resolving very difficult situations. Perhaps it was this uncanny skill that displayed when Dr. Monday Perry Okonny with some other patriots successfully persuaded Niger Delta militants who blew up pipelines, oil wellheads, bore currents, and brought oil production to all-time low in the region in the 90s to drop their weapons and embrace amnesty. Professor Idowu Sobowale, a distinguished journalist who once served as the Daily Times correspondent in Port Harcourt before the Civil War, introduced opinion polling in journalism in Nigeria as a university teacher met Dr. Monday Perry Okonny at Syracuse University, New York, United States of America, when the latter was concluding his doctorate degree. A one-time commissioner in Lagos State described Dr. Monday Perry Okonny as very passionate, genuine, and that he made sure that he and his wife were comfortable when they had arrived Syracuse in 1975. Professor Sobowale said Dr. Monday Perry Okonny was one of the best that the small community of Nigerians at the Syracuse had to showcase, a very brilliant chap with excellent presentation skills. Dr. Monday Perry Okonny had won a relationship with so many political, professional, and social associates. Chief Dennis Obi of Undoni in Oba Ebema Undoni local government area, a versatile, educated playwright and television producer, Adiele Onyedibia, and Chief Raymond Tom Oyil are also some of his acquaintances.
I met Dr. MP Okonny in 1978, early 1978, at the formation of MPN. Okonny is somebody, I may say, he brought courage to life, in the sense that everything he was doing and the beautiful ideas he brought was how to better the life of our people. of old River State. And he has been on that till even his last day. The member of the Elders Council of River State, he had to come to bring in all that have been happening since the years. From derivation, they put the derivation. That is Dr. M.P. Okonny. And they pushed for derivation from, that is Shagaris government in Lagos. That couldn't, our northern brothers, they are very slippery. They refused to buy that derivation. Then he engineered Okilo that they should take the government, our own government, to court. So Okilo, that is South governors, Clement Esong, and Ali of UPN took MPN government to court, and at the end of which they won, they gave them 1.5. We had to reach out to the governor Alamesia at that time, to Alamesia. Alamesia encouraged us that we should, that he would give us all support. And we went to the creeks. He was leading, and he was I've been championing a jocus.
Who was leading?
Dr. M.P. Okonny. We had to reach out to the boys to re-educate them that it is not the best way. From that point, it moved to before Yaradua came. So that he will reach, let's have dialogue, and we will take care of our people, our boys.
Became very familiar with him. He was always calling me around. Oyedibia, he's a very jovial person. Jovial. He has a high sense of humor. Sometimes humor can be what you call black humor, but he delivers it. He has a swagger in the management of his language. Very classical, diplomatic. I think I didn't know his father, but I know when a child talks, you can see how he's been affected by the culture from which he comes. He had a base in the culture of the Abua people. Quite diplomatic. I never saw him shouting, because that is not his style. He was reactionary in the sense that, he came from somewhere and wanted to do something different from the usual. I didn't have any case that required his judgment, but as you grow, you begin to judge people. You balance. He wasn't ready. He wasn't the type of man you could just easily go and say, with prejudice, something against another person. Monday is prepared to call you there, say, oh boy, come. This thing when I hear. What happened? Many managers don't do that. They are biased before they even hear the statement or hear the case. And Monday never gave me, I was a very dedicated teacher, I can tell you, because I loved what I was doing. But your boss can always find a fault. He was my head of department, and I'm glad he didn't find a fault with me before I left. But I always met him too. As he grew older, got into politics. I think the last time I saw him was about 5 years ago, and he could still recognize me. He had this face that was, it had depth. The face had depth. If you were very philosophical, you can see depth in the man, even when he does not talk or did not say anything.
My mother told me how related we were. So Dr. Okonny was a very popular name in those days. He had the ear of the governor, and we looked up to him as our leader. political leader, community leader, and our leader in the civil service. He occasionally would hold meetings with the Abua people who were in the civil service then. And we were not many, but Okonny was driven, Dr. Okonny was driven by the love he had for Abua. And many times he would hold small meetings with us. I think I remember other Abua senior civil servants then. Chief Isaac Ukwe, Mr. Morgan Moro, Mrs. Mercy Yellow, and there was Dr. Kubula Obuget, who was a special advisor to the governor. So many times we would gather in Dr. Okonny's office to discuss issues concerning Abua. He was so concerned about how Abua could move forward, get developed, because the politics of the state was still in its foundation stage that time, and the ethnic groups were literally jostling for attention. And you know, Rivers State is a mini Nigeria, full of so many ethnic groups, and government operated strictly on the 5 divisions of Port Harcourt, Ahoda, Brass, Ogoni, and Degema, what we knew as Pabod then. So all the ethnic groups were jostling for attention, and having come at a time that the likes of Professor Isaac Dema had laid the proper foundation for the politics and civil service of the state. Abua was very well known then for the right reasons. Abua was popular, and Monday Okonny made that popularity, he sort of made it, escalated it, made it more known. Abua was more known during that time. He was the first elected member who represented Abua Odwal, not as a local government then. In 1979, I wasn't in the country then, but I came to meet him as a member of the Rivers State House of Assembly, representing Abua Odwal. Okilo had a soft spot for Abua, and Okonny was well connected to him, and I'm sure he used his connection well and attracted, especially to my part of Abua, 2 very important projects. The Amoran Community Secondary School at Ameba was brought there by Dr. Monday Okonny. And there was this other project, a cottage hospital sited in my community of Brian, very close to Mesu, but wrongly called Cottage Hospital in Mason, when in fact the facility was in O'Brien. So that Cottage Hospital was built and equipment shipped to site. We were awaiting commissioning when the military struck and overthrew the government of the democratically elected government of Usman Ali Shagari. And nothing happened again after then. The Emogan Community Secondary School at Amanigboko survived.
Sir Ngozi Abu, a former River State Accountant General and Town Planner, Elder Umar Phillips Ogo, recounted the unforgettable role Dr. Monday Okonny played in their lives.
A very beautiful story. My scholarship was withdrawn by His Excellency Melford Okilo in 1980 when I was studying in England. What was the reason for the withdrawal? My name, Ngozi Abu, never sounded reverse to him. Not just me anyway, me and others that had Igbo names and all that. Our scholarships were withdrawn. I didn't know what else to do. I was in the first year of the university at the University of Wales, Cardiff. After that first year, I had no choice but to come home. And when I got home, it was a political era, MPN. I didn't know anybody. Fortunately, one of my uncles said, the only person who can solve this problem is Dr. MP Okonny. I've never met him before. I had no way of meeting him at all. He was up there. I submitted my papers to him. And he simply went to him and he said, why not? No hesitation, nothing. He left every other thing he had and went straight to meet His Excellency at the government house. In an hour, my scholarship was restored. A man who had never known me or my father. All his interest was that I was in a school and I was interested in improving my quality of education. He took interest and restored my scholarship. That is what endeared me to him, and I will never forget. He was interested in improving the lot of the people. You can see what happened to me. So also he was interested in making sure the ordinary man in the rural areas get what they are entitled to. And like you said, that is the first time in the history of real estate, generators and the rest of the things were distributed to almost all the communities. We did not get, but a lot of communities had generators. Life were improved. If you look at Odua, I went to Odua one of those years. Odua is like Port Harcourt at the time. The light, every village in Odua had light. A few communities in Ekpetu had light. All were his efforts at the time. So you can see that he's somebody who wanted a lot of the ordinary people to be improved. And he did very well. People liked him, just as I did.
I lived with him, stayed with him in his house for years. Dr. Okonny, as I can say, can describe him briefly as an institution. An institution. A good man. Well, let me put it like this. The Jigaban, the Iroko of the Abua ethnic nationality. A very good man, a man of truth, a philanthropist, an educationist, and a brilliant politician. A man that is bold to issues. A man that he can pursue what he believes. He can stand on what he believes to the end. In fact, he's my mentor. He's my father, he's my mentor, he's my all. And my father-in-law. Because as I've told you, I'm married at his feet, his stepsister. So, he's my mentor. He's a man I wish. He's my role model.
A good king must look out for a good successor. Dr. Monday Perry Okonny did not leave a vacuum in the Pan-Ijaw nationalism struggle. Despite his death and in juxtaposition, Abua within the context of the Big Brotherhood, Dr. Godpa Ipegan Egenewari is now the Secretary, Ijaw National Congress, INC, comprising Bayelsa and Rivers State.
He spoke to us for a very, very long time, telling us the degradation in the country, the environmental pollution, how we put nearly every wealth of the country, yet we are given a peanut. And it was compared with what late Kenso said, that when we have a bunch of plantain, and the bunch of plantain was harvested by a group of people to a place they call the center, and gradually they move every finger of that plantain and throw one back to whoever owned the plantain. That is unnatural. So everybody gets spoiled, everybody was interested. From there they moved to the Roma Abuan residence, a palace, and they had a think tank, and everybody agreed that this message is worth accepting. That was how the revival of this struggle started in Abua land. And shortly after that period, we had this creation of Bayelsa in 1996. Everybody thought that Abua, Ngene, Odual, and Koba would be part of Bayelsa. And when it was not, late Uwema of Abua, Chief Victor Oko, led Abua to Bayelsa. And I think it was, who was the administrator then? Forgotten the name of that military administrator. And he received us. A lot of vehicles left Abua for that protest. Ayeni was then the military administrator. And we protested, played before him our demands, and left. So the journey started at that time till the present time we find ourselves. In fact, I rode on his back today to become the secretary of the Ijaw National Congress Central Zone, without which it wouldn't have been possible. And we have been there on a day-to-day basis, making sure that not only Abua, but every Ijaw man will come to the realization that it is enough for what the federal government is doing to us, that we must be liberated. We must have resource control. We must have resource control. Our lands will be freely given to us. Our natural resources that God naturally gave to us must be taken back by the German. So that was how I started knowing him. And I will tell you that late Dr. Monday Perry Okonny was a very humble man. He was a man who believed in service. He can serve even the least child. He does not see service as anything at all. And there is no gainsaying that even in the first ESCO, Executive Council of the John National Congress, he was an auditor under Chief Fomodo. He served the John Nation with all his strength. In fact, it's difficult to talk about the John National Congress without mentioning late Dr. Monday Okonny. It's difficult. In fact, when in 1998 the Kayama Declaration came up, a lot of elders and chiefs of the John land were afraid to be in Kayama, because it was a very, very serious meeting held by the youths. But Monday Okonny was there live. He said, whatever that it will take for the federal government to hear our voice, that he will not relent his effort. He took a lot of risk for the John Nation. And he did everything possible within his reach to make sure that not only Abua people, not only the Angene, but even the Sabama, the Orubo, the Kalabari man, the Okreka man, everybody come to the unity of purpose that we are a just and we must fight to make sure that we are liberated. There are other areas I can talk seriously about Dr. Monday Perry Okonny. Monday Perry Okonny was one man that I knew in Abua that believed that the only way to make the people develop is to be holding constant meetings. He believed in holding meetings. He said it is in the course of holding meetings that the people can, share their views and find a way out on every issue of life. And he did that a lot while alive, on all issues of life. There are moments when he will call you and ask some silent questions. How is Abua? How is Abua going? I hope everything is okay. He would always be interested to know about how Abua is going, the level of development and all that. And generally, there are things that are difficult about people, and I think it has to do maybe with resources. He tried his best to bring the people together, but I think there was a little encouragement coming from others for him to make sure that these meetings are sustained, especially general meetings, not only that of the INC. There are sometimes.
Yeah, now as a inherent factor in Abua,
yes.
Can you mention his particular exploits from time to time, like this? For years.
In 1993, precisely, in their different meetings, he made the John National Congress to know that Abua was the safest place to hold the convention. And meetings were called, even though there were no hotel facilities. Every Abua man, every Abua woman came up and said, look, we will donate our buildings, our houses to see that the convention took place. It was in 93 when it was Abacha coup that stopped that convention in Abua. That was why in 1995 it was brought to Port Harcourt. He did that very well. And everybody was not happy when the convention never took place. Another area I can say so much about it was that Dr. Okonny believed that on security issues, that is not a case of the center, that is a case of the communities. That every man, every parent knows his child, and every community knows their children. Therefore, it is wrong not to hold our youth accountable.
The path of a great man are ordered by God. So Dr. Monday Perry Okonny worked this world, a patriot and a great statesman. Dr. Monday Perry Okonny was a foundation member of the INC, Pan Niger Delta Elder Forum, PANDEF, South-South Elders Forum, the Fund National Party of Nigeria, NPN, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Rivers State Elders Council. He was also founder, City College in Port Harcourt, and served on the Council of University of Lagos, University of Benin, and on the Executive of Private Schools, Proprietors Association of Nigeria. You fought the battle, you won. Adieu, Dr. Monday Perry Okonny.